What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna go over the costs associated with my 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo. If you're in the market for a Gallardo, what is it actually gonna cost to put it on the road? Insurance, registration, sales tax, purchase price, things like that. What can you expect when buying one of these cars? Now, since we're gonna be going over that, before we get into the numbers on the car, I am gonna touch base on why I am repairing my car myself rather than going through insurance. Now, if you're new to the channel and you have no clue why I am repairing my Gallardo, take a look at our Lamborghini playlist on our channel and you'll catch yourself up to speed. Since I was on a track, technically your normal car insurance doesn't cover track use. Now, the reason why I didn't get a track insurance policy for doing the charity event that we were doing, I've done this event 8 years in a row, every single car I've ever owned. It's not a competitive event. It was, a paced lap, conservative driving. You might hit 100 on the straightaway, but nothing too crazy. So, given I've done this so many times, didn't really think I would need something like that. Obviously, that's when it happens. But nonetheless, had I had an insurance policy on the track, I don't know if that would have even been the best way to go, because the way I'm doing this, it's all off the record. There's not going to be any title issues. It's still going to have a clean Carfax, no accidents, nothing on the record. My own record will still be clean. Given what this would cost if they shop did everything, this is honestly a $100,000 rebuild, which you don't want a $100,000 claim on your insurance. And as you'll see later in this video of how much the insurance is for this car, my rates would probably quadruple if I had a $100,000 claim, which means over the next 4 years, what I would pay in premiums, I can just use that money right now and just fix it myself. Now, with that, it's nice to know that this car is still gonna have a clean title, clean Carfax. If I ever do sell this car, which I'm not really planning to sell this car, it's my childhood dream car, I bought it for a reason, but at least if I ever do sell it, it'll still have a good title, good Carfax history and all that good stuff. The biggest disclosure will be it's gonna have a little bit of aftermarket paint, but hardly any body work, given that's a original door off another car. It's perfectly fine. It's 100% OEM. So it's not really gonna have crazy amount of body work or anything done to it. It's just gonna be some aftermarket paint. And I could always wholesale it through auction and not really lose too much. If that's had a salvage title or rebuilt title, it'd be at least a $50,000 hit. So that's kind of why I'm doing it myself. It just makes more sense. I don't have the insurance option really to go through. And even if I did, I don't think it would be viable to use insurance, just because if I can fix it myself for 20 to 30 grand, that is a much better option than having the car gone for a year and having a $100,000 claim on my record and on the car's record. So moving on now to pricing, what are you going to expect to pay for a used Lamborghini Gallardo in today's market? So mine is a 2014 LP 550-2. I bought it with 18,000 miles. The sale price was $135,000. My budget on a Gallardo was $140 out the door. I didn't value spending any more than that on one of these. I just didn't think it was worth any more. And given that, when I buy a car, I set a budget to where if I buy a car for this price, I budget $10,000 to $30,000 above that in case something goes wrong. Obviously something went wrong, and thankfully I had the budget to where I can afford to fix it. And that's obviously another reason why I'm fixing it myself, is because at $140, which was my goal for the car, I knew I could budget if something went wrong with it. So out the door, this came to $139,700. And I was really happy to see that. It was under my budget, and I pulled the trigger and bought the car really, really quickly from when I first saw it listed. Now, purchase price, I put $100,000 down on this car, which I know before anyone comments that is a crazy amount to put down on a car. That is pretty wild. I sold my R35 GTR to buy this car. Now, my Nissan GTR, I owned that for 5.5 years. I paid that car off in 4 years. So when you look at that, when I sold that car for $75,000, that was $75,000 cash that I didn't ever have. It was just obviously the car. So I had that 75 grand. I sold all the car parts on that GTR, which I got about 10 grand out of the parts. So that bumped that to 85 grand I got out of the GTR. And since I didn't have a car payment on the GTR, from the time I paid it off until buying this, which was about a 2-year period, that $1,000 a month just went to the bank. So 100 grand down on this wasn't really that hard to do, given the GTR was the majority of that. So financing 40 grand of the car was my goal from the beginning. I wanted to do that since I could write that off over a 2-year time span for business use. So it made more sense to do a small loan on the car for me personally, just given the business that I'm running around my cars. And that's basically how I bought the car and what the pricing looked like. Now, I already had the checks cut to buy this car before I even had my insurance quote, because I was just so dead set on buying the car. I was a little nervous because I was like, well, at what price does insurance become too much to where I need to lower my budget on the car? Thankfully, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Now, I'm not about to misspeak. My insurance on this car is $1,300 per year. Yes, that's per year, not per month. So $1,300 a year to fully insure this car. I was really impressed with that. Our Audi RS3 is like $1,000. So this is hardly any more expensive to insure than an Audi RS3. Honestly, my GTR was about $1,000 too. So not really anything crazy to insure. Now, some things I do, I pay in full. Like I just mentioned, I pay annually. If you pay your insurance month to month, you're actually gonna be spending more per year than if you just paid it annually. So it is a waste of money to do the monthly stuff. Just go annual, you'll save several hundreds of dollars. On top of that, I take the highest deductible, which is $1,000. Now, if you can't afford a $1,000 claim on a car like this, you probably shouldn't be buying a car like this. I've always done the highest deductible, mainly because you will save so much more money. When I bought my R35 Nissan GTR, which was over 6 years ago, I did the math. If I did the lowest deductible, I only needed to go 8 months to where the highest deductible would actually save me money in the long run versus the lowest deductible. So you'll get a discount by doing the highest deductible, you'll get a discount by paying in full, and of course having a clean driving record goes a long way. And like we mentioned in the beginning of this video, not having a $100,000 claim under my belt keeps me at a low rate. You know, I talked to my insurance agent off the record about this incident, and he said my rates would probably go up by 4 to 5 times if I submitted a claim like this. So like I said, that would probably mean I'd be paying $4,000 to $5,000 a year on this car rather than $1,300. Let's say I own the car for 5 years. There's about what I'm gonna end up spending fixing it myself. So once again, you gotta be smart with how you do things, and you gotta budget if something does go wrong. But highest deductible goes a long way, paying in full goes a long way, and that's just insurance on the car. That is full coverage, everything needed to legally and responsibly own this car. So it's not like I'm taking any shortcomings or anything like that, or shortcuts or whatever. It's pretty cheap to insure. So next up is the registration. Now here in North Carolina, every single year we have to pay property taxes on a registered vehicle like a car. So every year we pay basically our registration, which is property taxes, and the updated sticker on our license plate. Now I finally got my license plate, which ironically first letters are LAM. So what are the odds that I have Lamb on my license plate? Unfortunately, it's not the right year on the back. It says Lamb 2017. Would have been crazy if I got Lamb 2014, which would have been super cool. So I wonder if people are gonna think that I have a custom tag that's in the wrong year. I don't know. But anyways, looking at the registration, on my first year, the property tax value is $135,000. So I'm assuming they're going off of my purchase price. It will be interesting to see in 1 year from now what the tax valuation of this car is. So with that, we have our county and our city taxes. County taxes is $675. City taxes is $698. So with everything tallied up, my total amount due for property tax is $1,373.75. So right now I have a temporary sticker on my new license plate that will expire at the end of March. I need to pay this $1,300 bill before the end of March to get my full 1-year sticker. And then in a year from now, I will get another bill, probably less than this, I guess we'll find out. And I will be able to renew the car for 1 more year. So then moving on to maintenance and reliability, as far as costs associated with that, I don't really have the best numbers on that just yet, given I've driven the car about 1,000 miles, and I've obviously only owned it for 3 or 4 months now. The biggest thing is gonna be the clutch. Now, first gen Gallardos, the E-Gear especially, the clutch wore out maybe like 10,000 miles. It wasn't really all too good. The second gen car is significantly better, and my clutch at 17,000 miles had the clutch red, and it was at a 70% life left. So it seems like this clutch should last maybe 40-something thousand miles. And looking at that, a new clutch is around 2 to 3 grand, and the labor's about 2 to 3 grand. The owner of the dealership I bought this from owned a Gallardo. He owned a Super Trofeo actually, which was pretty sweet. And he was telling me a little bit about maintenance and things like that. And a $5,000 clutch job in maybe 5 years from now, nothing really to bat an eye at. Kind of nice to see that. Oil change, that's something I'm going to do once I finish the car up. And honestly, I can do the oil change myself for maybe $200. I don't remember the exact amount of oil, but my brother and I have done it on his Audi R8, which takes like 10 quarts. And this V10 is a very similar process. It might take also 10 quarts or so, but either way, 200 bucks, I can knock it out in an afternoon. I'll have to dive into a little bit more on the servicing that Lamborghini recommends for these cars as time goes on, if there are any transmission or differential services or anything like that. Since my car is rear-wheel drive, I don't have a front diff to worry about, which is kind of nice. Tires is another thing, of course. I will be doing new tires on this car. The ones on it, they're less than 5 years old. Plenty of tread. However, they did get a little bit of damage in the crash, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get much better and newer tires. Theirs are gonna be around $1,700, which honestly, any sports car, performance car with performance summer tires, budget $1,500 to $2,000 on tires. This is no big deal. The fronts are 235 wide, the rears are 295 wide, so it's not even the craziest of tires for this car. But that's basically all the associated costs with it as of right now. And like I mentioned, the fact that I did this myself fixing it, means I can drive the car still. Like if this was at a shop getting repaired, it'd be gone for at least a year because every single part would have to be brand new from Lamborghini, which takes a long time. Doing this myself, finding really good used body panels. As we pass a sweet Lotus, haven't seen an Elise in a while, wow. But I found so many parts for this car within 2 months, and I got it perfectly driving within 2 months, even though I'm missing a bumper and the rear fender needs a little bit of welding and paint on it. I'm still able to just drive my car. I bought this to drive it, and I couldn't imagine, honestly, having it sit at a shop for a year getting fixed. I would much rather just do it myself, fix it myself, have fun building it myself, and be able to drive the car. So I think that's kind of everything to go over with current costs of this. Again, once I finish it, I'll do a full build tally of how much it cost me to rebuild the car. Keep in mind, this would be about a $100,000 build if it went through insurance, if it went through a shop to do every single thing, and I'll be doing that for a fraction of the price. Man. But being able to just drive the car is so worth doing it myself. And of course, having a clean title still and no ding on my personal record. Man. And one thing I love with the car, just driving to nowhere. I've driven 170 miles with it. It's such a unique experience. I can't get enough of it. And as I dial it in, more and more perfect, it is just a blast to drive. But there is a full look at the insurance, registration, the cost of a 2014 Lamborghini Gallardo at 29 years old. Really nothing too crazy. Obviously the car is expensive. However, I've been working towards this car since I was 11 years old. And in the last 8 years is when I kind of had my plan on buying it. When I bought the Red Z, that was my plan to start saving up for it. So about 8 or 9 years of actually saving up for the car and buying the GTR, of course, given that car went up in value, that really helped. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next one.